I don't mean to overstress this to you, but I'm just going to be real honest with you. There's too much victim mentality in the church. I can tell you this, if you're looking for something to be offended by, you'll find it. And that's part of the problem, is a lot of people in the church. I'm not talking about our church per se. I'm talking about the church, capital C. Many people are looking for things to fail. They're looking for the shoe to drop. They're looking for the mistake in someone. They're looking, because what that does is it justifies the mental place they're living life in. It gives you a form of justification where you're like, see, I knew I shouldn't trust somebody. See, I knew that if they did that, this was going to happen. See, if people would listen to me. You've created almost this martyr type person about you that is living by a false spirit. Afraid to confront the truth and elevate and rise higher in your walk with God. And so, with that said, I want to give us what does the alternative look like? What does a life of understanding God's faithfulness look like? Because the truth of the matter is, when I stand in faith in the face of adversity, the faith that I stand in is knowing I serve a God who's always faithful. It's because there's a God who loves me, whose grace and mercy abounds in a bountiful plethora of abundance in my life. Even when I'm the one that causes the calamity, His grace still abounds. If you're like me, you're grateful for that. But also there's this thought, and I'm getting into this, I promise, but I just want to set this up. I need you to hear this, and whether you're here, whether you're watching online, or whether you catch this clip down the road or whatever, I need you to hear this. If everything you do in life lands with a measure of calamity, you need to listen to this message today. Because you are not a victim. You're only a victim of your own demise living in this place. And we have to graduate, mature. So let's go to the Word. We're going to go to Daniel chapter 3, a story many of you are probably familiar with. In case y'all are wondering, this screen puts off some heat. It's hot up here. Too close to it. Amen. We need a bigger sanctuary already. Amen. So Daniel chapter 3, we're going to start with verse 16. How many of you guys know the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? Everybody know that story? Wonderful story. If you've been in church long enough, you've heard it before. So I'm not going to give you anything new probably today, but I'm going to be honest with you. A lot of church goers are looking for something new when the beauty is in the basics. We're always kind of hunting the newest revelation, the newest word. Who's got the best book to come out with to help us do this? But God gave us beauty within His Word. And some of the most basic things propel you the furthest distances in your walk with God. Amen? So in Daniel chapter 3, we'll start with verse 16. So they are about to face judgment because they would not bow and worship false gods. This is in the same time frame as Daniel. Daniel, they tried to set him up. They tried to set him up, and he ends up in a lion's den. And this is in the same time frame. And so Daniel's friends, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they are faced with a similar situation where they are about to be punished for not being willing to worship false gods. Now, I don't know about you, but I doubt your faith in God has brought you to a place where you're about to face this. Not in America, it hasn't. So I just want to say that to you to understand something, that no matter what you're going through, no matter what you're facing, you're not the only one. There's been people that have been through the same things and even worse things, and they stood faithful. And there's nothing different between you and them. It's the same God in each of you. So let that give you some hope, okay? So they're facing judgment here. They're about to be thrown in this furnace. And let's pick up the story in chapter 16. He says, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we have no need to answer you in this matter. We have no need to answer you in this matter. And I'm going to kind of work through this. So we're going to stop right there for a minute. They say something really cool. We have no need to answer you in this matter. Ephesians chapter 4 and verse 27. It says, neither give place to the devil. It says, neither give place to the devil. Let him that steals or stole steal no more. That's Ephesians 4:27. They understood, this is like, obviously Ephesians in the New Testament, but this principle here, neither give place to the devil. Can I tell you something? What the first thing that I want you to grab this morning is when you're about to face something, don't give place to the devil. Don't entertain. What did he say? We have no need to even answer you in this matter. What did Nehemiah say when he was building the wall and Sanballat wrote him a letter and was trying to get him to come down off the wall and go and meet with him to have a conversation. And Nehemiah replies and sends a letter back to Sanballat and says, I will not come down off this wall. This is only a distraction from the enemy. He didn't give place to the devil. You see, this is the starting place of defeat, is giving place to the devil, to entertaining those thoughts. We start entertaining them. We start, well, maybe that's true. Maybe this is a situation. Maybe, maybe I can't trust this person. Maybe this is how it's always going to be. Maybe I'm always going to live life this way. Maybe this is all true. No, stop. Quit allowing the one who steals to keep stealing from you. That's literally what the word says. Don't give place to the devil. And so I want to encourage you this morning, if you're facing something, start taking those thoughts captive. Because that's where it starts up here. That's where the enemy first begins to work. He begins to start twisting your mind. Trying to deceive you, trying to steal truth from you and implant false words, false wisdom in place of God's truth. So what do? I have no need to answer you in this matter. I don't even need to entertain this. I don't even need to think about this. I'm not even going to think about this right now. I don't want to talk about this right now. Satan, get behind me. I got nothing to say to you. There's no need for you and I to have a conversation about this. I'm redeemed by the blood of the Lamb. I'm chosen. I'm a royal priesthood. Come on, I'm the head and not the tail. I'm more than a conqueror. If God be for me, you know what? There's a little bit of truth in what you said, Satan, but the truth of the matter is, if God's for me, who could be against me? So let's not have a conversation. Let's not debate with the father of lies. Let's not even have a debate. That's the best place to start, guys. But that's also the place that a lot of times we lose the battle, is in the first few moments. Did you know that historically, in the majority of conflicts and battles, the one who implements the game plan first usually comes out on top in real life? If you go back and look at the historic battles, whether it was a sneak attack, whether it was head on, the one who struck first with the right game plan usually wins the battle. You see that a lot of time in sports, the team that comes out and you can see they're in their flow, they're in their game plan, and they come out and they start rolling right off the bat. They make it to where it's hard for the other team to come back. And when you start off the battle by entertaining the devil, you're already taking a step backwards and making it harder to overcome. Come on, nor give place to the devil. We have no need to answer you in this matter. They listen, they're not worried about the circumstances. They're not worried about the situation in front of them. They know they're about to be punished, guys. They know that what's in front of them is very real. And yet they said, we're not even going to talk to you about this. There's nothing you can say to waver our stance in God. Oh, that we Christians today could have that fortitude. That when the enemy comes in and he's trying to yak and gnaw at us and feed us lies and try to get us in an emotional tizzy, if we could have the fortitude to say, no, I'm not going to be moved off of my stance in God. I know I'm talking a little tough today, but I'm trying to get us to, if you look at these last few messages, God is trying to strengthen us. I don't know if you're aware of what's happening in the world. We may not be facing persecution in this way in the United States of America, but I'm telling you, there's a cultural agenda that's trying to stomp out Christianity in our nation. What are we going to do when you have to stand in the face of true adversity? And say, I choose God. I choose faith. And many of you, you're like, well, I would obviously do that. I would obviously, that's what I would do. I would, if I was posed with that thought, I would stand. I would go into the fiery furnace. I would go. Listen, some of us can't even come to church the next Sunday after somebody says something bad about us. Some of us miss church for a whole year because something on Facebook. Listen, I know that sounds very like, man, Pastor, that sounds kind of mean. I'm just going to be real with you and be truthful with you. If you can't deal with someone saying something about you, if you can't deal with a conflict with a brother or sister in the church, you are not going to have the spiritual fortitude to stand when it gets really real. There's other countries where they go to underground church and travel for hours to get there at the face of knowing if they get caught, they would die. And yet we can't come to church if we got a little tummy ache. Listen, I know we live life. I'm not saying everything you do is about having to go to church. And listen, if the only meat you're getting is on a Sunday morning, you're probably struggling in your walk with God. I'm not saying if you miss a Sunday, it's all bad. I'm talking about a mentality here. I'm speaking of something deeper. I'm just using that as a reference. We have no need to answer you in this matter. Verse 17, if this be so, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of your hand. Look at that. You know why they had no need to join in the conversation? Because they understood his faithfulness. They understood his faithfulness. If this be so, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us out of your hand. Come on.